So today we are going to look at the functions. What are functions in Python? So function is basically a group of related statements or commands which are clubbed together so that they can be reused multiple times in a program. Okay. So we define function which executes uh, a specific task, and that function we can reuse again and again in a program. Okay, so there are two steps for creating and using function. First is to define a function, and second is to call a function. Okay, so what do we mean by define is, so to define actual, what will be the function will execute and what specific task it will perform. Okay, so the syntax is def, which is a keyword in Python. Then the function name, we can give any function name here. Let's say turn on. Okay. Parenthesis followed by parenthesis and colon. Okay. So whenever we give colon here in the next line, we have to uh, do indentation. Okay. Indented code we have to write. Now here we can write, statement one, in any statements which we want to write. Okay, so here I will simply write print statements, print, so to turn on anything like turn on fan or turn on tube light, we will need to do certain steps like we have to stand up, then we have to walk to switch board, then basically find a button, and then press the button to turn on. Okay, so this is our function. So if I execute this program, we'll simply execute this program, nothing will happen, right? Why? Because the function is we have defined but haven't used anywhere, right? So function is created but it's not used. So now if I simply type print of function, or let's say type of function, type will basically give type of the function. See, the data type is function, and if we simply print type the function name, the function object it's returning at this particular address, and the data type is function. Okay, so function is created, but unless we call it, nothing's going to happen. Okay, now how to call the function? It is very simple. Simply write the function followed by parenthesis, that's all. Let's try to execute it. See, now I have just written this function name, and it has executed all of the commands which is inside the function, which are this indented things. Okay, now I can call the same function many times. It is reusable now. Okay, I can write this function n number of times. So this introduces reusability of a function. Now, now if you observe, even if we are calling it multiple times, okay, we are getting the same output, right? Stand up, go to switchboard button and press the button. Stand up, go to switchboard, find a button and press a button. Okay, so it's similar to loop, right? Then why do we need functions? Okay, we could simply use loops. Why we need functions? Okay, now this is a simple function, okay, to demonstrate. Now what we can do is we can keep all the code same, but we can perform all the operation from the input which we need to give to the function. Okay, and these are known as arguments. So whatever we put inside the parenthesis of a function are known as arguments. Okay, so let's say I take one argument. Let's say I take name. Okay, and what I'm passing here is, let's say, Prasad. Okay, and what I'll do, I will simply concat these things. Okay, now let's see what's happening. Okay, we got a function which with one argument. Okay, then we are going down here. When we call the function, then it is actually executing the code. Okay, here we are just defining it. Okay, but actual execution happens in a when we call the function. Okay, now while calling the function, I'm passing one argument, Prasad, which is going to variable name. Okay, now this name variable is local to this function. Okay, this name variable is local to the function in which it's getting called. So this name variable I cannot use outside the function. So I cannot simply write name here. Okay, we cannot write name like this. It can be used only inside the function. Okay, now whatever value I have passed while calling the function, it will get cached in the definition here. It's known as argument. Okay, and since we have passed Prasad, then everything and the name variable will get replaced with Prasad. Let's try to execute it. Okay, now when I'm reusing the function, I can pass different arguments here. Now see, observe the output. We are reusing the same code but with custom inputs, right? So here in this case, Prasad we have passed, it gets cached in name. Then second time, Rohan, I'm passing Rohan, and third time I'm passing Akshay. Okay, same code with custom inputs. So this is power of function. It introduces reusability with the custom inputs. And how are we passing inputs within the parenthesis? It is also known as arguments. Okay, now we can pass multiple arguments as well. Okay, now I'll create second variable object. This is the object which we want to, let's say, turn on, right? Go to the switchboard, find button of object. Okay, and turn on comma object. Okay, now here I'm catching two arguments. Okay, let's try to execute the program. Oh, sorry, I haven't saved it. See, we are getting type error. What it is saying, turn on function has missing one required positional argument called object. Missing one argument. Okay, because it is expecting two arguments in the definition as per the definition, but while actually executing or calling the function, we are passing only one argument. Okay, so we need to compulsory pass the second argument. Let's say fan. Okay, let's try to execute it now. Okay, Prasad, the first argument we are getting, go to the switchboard, find button of fan and press the button to turn on fan. Right, now this object is getting replaced with the fan which we are passing while the calling. So Prasad is going into the first argument, fan is going to the second argument by default. Okay, it's always in sequence. So this is first argument, that's why it's getting cached into first. This is second, that's why it is going to second object. Okay, this is known as positional arguments because it's always goes in the positional manner. Okay, so if I put like fan first, Prasad second, it will simply fan stand up, fan walk to switchboard, fan find the button of Prasad and fan. Okay, so fan is going to the name and Prasad is going to the object. Okay, sequentially. So this is known as positional argument. But this seems wrong, right? So the name always should be Prasad and object always should be fan. Okay. But what if I don't know the sequence of arguments? What if I don't know the sequence of argument? If name is first and object is second, I don't know that. What should I do? Okay. So here the keyworded arguments comes into picture. Okay. These are positional arguments. Now we will apply keyworded arguments. What are keyworded arguments? It's nothing but while giving the value or giving the input, specify in which argument it should go. Okay. So fan should go in object argument and Prasad should go in name argument. Okay, now we are explicitly specifying. So fan must go into the object one. Even if it's not in sequence, compulsorily put into the object. Fan put into the object. And likewise, Prasad, put Prasad into the variable name, even if it's not in sequence. Let's try to execute it. See, now here, even if sequence is not correct, then also we are getting correct output. Why? Because we have used keyworded arguments, right? Now let's try to delete one argument. Okay, so any guesses what would be the output? The output should be like previous one. Okay, turn on missing one argument. Okay, name and object, two arguments are required in the definition, but while calling the function we are only giving one argument. Okay, so how to set default? So if I don't give anything, by default consider object equal to light. Okay, now here in the definition, okay, not while calling, in the definition I'm saying consider object equal to light by default if it's not provided. Okay, let's try to execute this now. So that's standard. Now even if arguments are two in the definition and we are calling only one argument, still it's by default considering it is light. Turn on lights. Okay, now what will happen if I give object here as well? Okay, so if while calling the function, if we are providing object, then this object itself is getting called AC. Because we have provided the value while calling, the default will not work. So whatever user has provided while calling function, it will work. Okay, if it's not provided, then default argument will take place. Okay, I think it's clear, right? So what are functions? Functions is basically a group of statement which performs a specific task, right? Turn on. Now in the function we may pass some arguments, one or multiple arguments, and we can pass it like position wise, right? We can pass it like position wise, or we can pass it like keyworded arguments. Okay, also we can define a default value. If any argument is not provided, then this default value, while defining the function, this default value will get considered instead of giving error. Okay, and if we do not provide any default value and also we do not pass any object argument, then it will throw an error saying one missing required arguments.